Imagine waking up 100,000 years ago. No house, no hospital, no gun, no metal knife. You step outside your shelter, and somewhere beyond the trees, something is watching you. Maybe it's a lion, maybe a giant hyena, maybe a massive bear, or something even worse. Because prehistoric humans didn't live in a world where we sat comfortably at the top of the food chain. Our ancestors shared the landscape with predators that were faster, stronger, heavier, and far better armed than we were. So what would happen if ancient humans had to fight every apex predator they encountered? Would humans actually survive? Or would predators have stopped us before civilization ever began? Let's start with lions, but not exactly the lions we know today. Imagine a massive Ice Age lion stalking through the grass. Hundreds of kilograms of muscle, powerful jaws, huge claws, and one major advantage over a human: it was built to kill. A lion doesn't need a weapon. Its entire body is a weapon. And humans? Our strongest natural weapons are basically our hands. So if an ancient human encountered a lion alone in open terrain, the fight would be horribly one-sided. The lion could close the distance in seconds. One bite could crush bone. One swipe could end the fight. So how did humans survive in a world like this? The answer is simple. They didn't fight fair. Humans learned to use something predators didn't have: preparation. They watched the landscape. They learned to recognize tracks. They chose safer places to sleep. They stayed together. And eventually, they learned to control fire. Fire changed everything. It provided warmth, it provided light, and it could help keep predators away. A predator that might confidently approach a lone human could become much more cautious when it saw a group of people surrounded by fire. But imagine losing that fire. Now it's nighttime. You can't see what's approaching, but the predator can hear you. It can smell you. And somewhere outside the shelter, something is moving. Maybe a leopard. Leopards didn't need to fight humans directly. They could ambush. They could hide. They could attack when humans were vulnerable, especially while sleeping. And then there were hyenas. Modern hyenas are already incredibly powerful, but prehistoric humans had to compete with large carnivores for food and territory. Imagine your group finally manages to kill an animal. You've spent hours tracking it. You're exhausted. You finally have food. Then you hear it crack. Another sound. Then another. A group of hyenas approaches. They don't care how hard you worked. They want your food. Now you have a choice: fight or leave. And sometimes, humans themselves became the food. Researchers have found ancient human bones with carnivore tooth marks, showing that humans and large predators sometimes directly competed for the same resources. Now imagine something even bigger: a cave bear, a huge animal weighing hundreds of kilograms. It doesn't need to chase you. It can simply stand there. And if you get too close, you're in serious trouble. But caves were valuable to humans. They offered shelter from weather. They provided protection. And sometimes, they were already occupied. Imagine entering a dark cave. Your fire illuminates the walls. You notice scratches, bones, a smell. Then you hear breathing. You raise the torch, and two enormous eyes appear in the darkness. The worst mistake you could make would be assuming the cave was empty. Because sometimes, the safest shelter in the prehistoric world was already home to something else. And then there were saber-toothed cats. These predators had enormous canine teeth and powerful bodies designed for ambush. A confrontation wouldn't be a fair fight. The predator would wait. You would walk past, and suddenly, it attacks. That's the problem with predators. You don't get to choose when the fight begins. They do, but humans had something predators didn't have: tools. A sharp stone changes the equation. A spear changes it even more. Suddenly, the human body doesn't have to do the killing. The weapon does. A predator has to get close to use its teeth. A human with a spear can attack from a distance. That doesn't make humans invincible, but it makes the fight possible. And, eventually, humans became capable of doing something extraordinary. They could hunt the predators themselves. There is evidence that Neanderthals hunted cave lions around 48,000 years ago. Think about that. A creature that once hunted humans was now being hunted by humans. This wasn't simply predators versus humans. It was an arms race. Predators had claws. Humans developed spears. Predators had powerful jaws. Humans developed traps. Predators became better hunters. Humans became better at cooperation. And cooperation may have been humanity's greatest weapon. A solitary human was vulnerable, but put 10 humans together, and everything changes. One watches while another sleeps. Someone searches for water. Someone maintains the fire. Someone makes weapons. Someone watches the children. And if a predator approaches, 10 brains can respond faster than one. A lion has claws. A bear has strength. A wolf has teeth. But humans can share information. One person discovers where predators hunt. Another learns where water is safe. Another learns how to make a better spear. And that knowledge doesn't disappear when the individual dies. It gets passed to the next generation, then improved, then passed on again. That's something incredibly powerful. A predator can learn, but humans can teach an idea and then improve it. That creates a species that gets better at surviving. And eventually, something changes. The predator begins avoiding the humans, not because humans are physically stronger, but because the predator has learned humans are dangerous. Humans didn't need to defeat every predator in direct combat. They only needed to survive often enough to reproduce. If a predator killed one human, the group could learn from the encounter. They could avoid that area, build safer shelters, improve their weapons, keep better watch. That's adaptation. And slowly, the balance shifted. At first, humans were prey, then competitors, then hunters, and eventually, we became the species that other animals had to fear. But here's the important part. Humans didn't become dominant because we were the strongest animal. A lion is stronger. A bear is stronger. A wolf is faster. Many predators are better equipped for killing. But humans had something different. We could change the rules. When claws appeared, we made weapons. When darkness became dangerous, we made fire. When predators attacked from ambush, we learned their behavior. When one person couldn't survive alone, we formed groups. And when something threatened us, we remembered. Then we taught the next generation. So if you dropped an ancient human into a landscape filled with every apex predator imaginable, don't expect them to win a fistfight. They would run. They would hide. They would use fire. They would use spears. They would call for help. And most importantly, they would learn, because that's how humans survived the prehistoric world. Not by being the strongest predator, not by being the fastest, not by having the biggest teeth, but by becoming the animal that could keep adapting. A lion is born with its weapons. A bear is born with its strength. A wolf is born with its instincts. But a human is born almost completely helpless. And yet, give humans enough time, and they'll create a spear. Give them fire, and they'll turn darkness into light. Give them cooperation, and they'll become stronger than any individual human could ever be. And give them thousands of generations, and those frightened creatures hiding beside a fire will build cities, cross oceans, reshape landscapes, and become the dominant species on Earth. So maybe the most dangerous creature in the prehistoric world wasn't the lion. It wasn't the saber-toothed cat. It wasn't the giant bear. It was the small, relatively weak primate sitting beside a fire, watching them all, and learning, because predators were built to survive in the world as it existed. Humans could imagine a different world, and then build it. We didn't conquer the prehistoric world by being the strongest predator. We conquered it by becoming the predator that could keep learning.